Oh, I'm getting exhausted. Okay, hi, welcome to the archives. One more. Let's do one more. Let's do one more. So this one is on Marie of Champagne. So remember in the last video we talked about Eleanor and King Louis VII. They eventually had a daughter. Their daughter was Marie. And so Marie is the eldest daughter of Eleanor and Louis VII. She was born in 1145. In 1153 at the age of 8. Oh, so Marie of Champagne, again, we're still in France, in Troyes, France, which is the capital of Champagne. And Champagne was known for its fairs and eventually later its sparkling wine, and all of that. So Eleanor, daughter of, no, Marie of Champagne, she's a daughter of Eleanor and Louise VII. At 8 years old, at 1153, year 1153, when she was 8, she was engaged to be married. At 8 years old, she was engaged to be married to Henry the First. Henry the First at that time was 26 years old, and it said that Marie was taken away until she was old enough to be married. No one really knows where she went. Some people said she went north of France to be schooled. We're not sure. Other people said she went to go live in Henry's house so she can learn the ways of his household. But basically, she went away until she was old enough to be married. And at 1164, she was married to him. They had 4 kids. Um, and she served as a regent for Henry whenever he went away. So basically, whenever King Henry the First went away, Marie was left in charge. So she got a lot of authority. She spent most of her life in Troyes, France, but she also did go visit her mother Eleanor at times. And so Marie is known as a patron saint of literary arts. That's what she's known for, the literary arts. She loved arts. She loved music. She loved the entertainers, the singers, but she especially loved poets. And so she's known for kind of like the beginning of romance. Romance, how we know it today still, is traced back to Marie of Champagne. So she would basically commission poets to write poetry, and she really wanted them to touch on romantic love, which is new at the time. It was a new concept, marrying for love. Actually, we're not even talking about marriage, but just being attracted to people through romance was new, right? But she loved it. And so this set the West apart from the rest of the world. Love romantically comes from Champagne, France. Note, we're not talking about love and marriage, we're just talking about romance, right? And so Provence, southern France, was known with poetry. Um, Duke Proverso, Eleanor herself was already influenced by poetry, so she passed it on to her daughter. Marie would commission people, but like Bernard of Venderdorn, he was really smart poet. He wrote things like, "There is no task that's burdensome to me if it should please my lady master." Okay, Bernard. So that was new, right? The man being like, "Oh, I will do everything and anything for my woman as long as she's happy." And so we start to get ideas of romance, right? And in this hope of being rewarded sexually. So these noble women, we have to remember they'd be left for years at a time. Their husbands would go to war and they would be left in the castle. They were also looking for love and affection. And so this is where Marie kind of makes it okay, right? Adultery. Again, you have to remember her mom is scandalous already. Her mom, Eleanor, was already scandalized with her falling in love with her uncle, leaving her dad for another man, incestuous. So, like, this is all the things that her mom was known for. So, some people think that her mom's life really influenced Marie because adultery was really big. men leaving their women to go away to war, other men, the knights sweeping in to seduce her as her husband goes to war, whispering sweet nothings in her ear. So this whole idea of having a love affair with a knight while your husband is away, it started to spread throughout France, right? These noble women are like, ooh, we get to have secret lovers, and like, and they know that it's love because they're risking it. That was the element, right? Toxic. This has to be love because he's risking it all for me. Um, so basically, that's all it was. People think that like her mom influenced her. Love was like secret. The secret is what created the passion, right? She's known as the patron saint of romantic arts. Troubadour poetry, Trouvère poets, canon of, there's a bunch of people, Chrétien de Troyes, Celtic legends, he commissioned a bunch of people to basically write love around like adulterous love, um, sinful, secret, quiet love. Um, that was what she was known for. Andrew, this idea that love is about like obsession and suffering, right? You're just waiting. You just can't wait to have this person, but you have to wait until their husband goes before you can meet them again. It's just toxic, right? It was also ableist because the understanding was like blind people can't fall in love because you have to see the person to be in love with them, right? Somebody who's in love seldom sleeps, they seldom eat. It reminds me of is it Takes Two when they talk about that can't eat, can't sleep, hitting the home run. Is that from not the Little Rascals? It Takes Two with the Olsen twins. I don't remember, but that kind of we still had that toxic notion. If you're in love, your heart is palpitating. You're just you're on edge. There's so much passion because of secrecy and yeah. So basically, um, that was Marie of Champagne. We have her to thank. Basically, Andrew was just a toxic misogynist, but she commissioned him, and so she loved his books. He wrote many books. I think he wrote like 3 books or something. The books were very popular. It shaped love in France, which France is still known as like the love, right? Paris is still known as the city of love. France is a Romance language, and so these are some of the reasons why it started to come out of Marie of Champagne. Her husband eventually dies. She rules for 17 years after, right? So she rules for 17, but then we find that there's a shift between her focus on romance love to religion. So then no longer is she talking about religion. I mean, no longer is she talking about love and romance. She starts talking about religion. She becomes heavy on religion. She moved into a monastery, like a convent. She started to commission people to talk about the scripture, Psalm 44. She wanted them to turn the Old Testament into poetry. And the reason why is because of the crusades that are going on, right? Her parents went away to the crusade in the Holy Land. Her husband went to Jerusalem to fight and was killed. Her mom and her dad had gone to Jerusalem to fight the Muslims. And so you can see that the Crusades, Christianity, it was a huge impact on her. And so that's why we find the shift of Marie of Champagne to more of like a religious tone, and she abandons romantic religions. So basically, the Christians in Jerusalem paid their way out. Muslims took over again. There was a third crusade. Richard was captured. Eleanor worked to get the money. Uh, right? So he wished his sister Marie would kind of help, but Marie didn't really do much. Marie's own son went to battle and during the Crusades. Um, so yeah, she retired to a convent. No one knows where her tomb is. Her tomb was lost, and she basically had a huge influence on heart and romance. All of that, the heart palpitating, the idea that you could transform a man. He might not love you, but if you do enough work, he'll love you. That all comes from Love is jealousy. You have to make a man jealous in order to really love you. Adultery is love. This all came from Maria Champagne. And also I would argue her mom, right? Her mom influenced her. So that is Maria Champagne. She was a queen who also took on administrative duties when her husband died and was away at war. And she is a patron saint of literary arts. And so she commissions a lot. So that's Maria Champagne. Yeah, so for those somebody who writes romance, it's really interesting to hear that kind of a history because I did not know that. So there are a few more I have to do. There's Eloise. Um, yeah, more to come. Okay, until next time. In solidarity.